Devil's on the loose and he's dancing with the mummy.
Deep from the bowels of the Macabre Theater Laboratory, we bring you Macabre Cast. There is nothing wrong with your streaming service. You are exactly where you should be, where the slush puppy machine is always on and cold. Your favorite horror mag is on the rack, discreetly displayed between Women's Wear Daily and Cosmopolitan. I'm your host, Dark Mark, along with my mold-riddled counterpart, Karis, the Little Mummy, here to bring you the latest episode of Macabre Cast, where we'll be dropping ours where they belong and adding them where they don't. Ew! Newbies welcome, regulars welcome back, and worshipers, get out of here! Oh. This is a safe space for those who know you can't kill the boogeyman, or a well-oiled slasher franchise for that matter, even the rusty ones. If you haven't already, like, follow, or subscribe to my show on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and when I'm not violating infantile community standard rules, TikTok. Tell a friend to do the same, even that guy whose body odor is so bad, he gives Leatherface and the whole Sawyer clan a run for their money. Yeah, that guy. If you wish to interact with fellow monster kids, follow the Facebook page, Macabre Theater. It's there where you can send me a voice message through Messenger and participate in the show. A link can be found in the description of this episode. Or, if you prefer, send me an email at macabretheater666@gmail.com. Macabrecast episode 157 and all its gory glory begins now.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Adoro il cast macabre.
So it was elementary school, and I want to say that it was either second grade or third grade. It was probably third grade, where the assignment was if we could be anybody else in the world, who would it be? And, you had kids saying Kal Yastrzemski. Some sweet kid said their dad. I, of course, wrote Dracula. And when the question asked why, I said because I'd be able to live forever. Well, this prompted a phone call to the parents, and my parents had to go in. And I believe when they told me about it later, my mother laughed when she heard what the answer was. Of course, the school was very concerned. Why a child would want to be the Prince of Darkness, drink blood and sleep in a coffin. Made perfect sense to my parents because I had been, completely, enthralled with the Universal monsters and especially Dracula, which before I could even say the name Dracula, I would go around every day asking my mom, is Drac Director on today? So you can see how that happened. But as I proposed to the monster kids out there, if you had the opportunity in this life to become a vampire, would you do it? And why? Or why not? I mean, I guess you'd have to get past the whole, killing people and drinking their blood, but you could kind of turn it into like a Dexter type thing. You could be hunting down serial killers or bad people and kind of ridding the world of them while also keeping yourself alive.
Boy, oh boy, does this take the cake. Did this show just get taken over by an 8-year-old? This is really a bizarre street. First of all, There are no vampires.
This coming from a 3,000-year-old mummy.
Well, let's just say for sake of argument that there are. What a silly question.
Look, it seems like you have a problem with the show and its topic every week, Karis, to be quite frank.
Hey, Doc. Did you hear what the special dish is over at that new singing restaurant for cannibals?
What? Wait a minute. There's a singing restaurant for cannibals?
Yes.
And they have a special dish? You mean like a blue plate special?
Yes.
So, what's the special dish?
Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes.
And on that note, it's time for horror news. Faces of Death 2026 is available digitally to rent or buy. Paranormal Activity is coming to Broadway live on stage this fall. At least it's not a musical. Lee Cronin's The Mummy is available digitally as of May 19th and will be available on DVD and Blu-ray July 19th, 2026. A Quiet Place 3 is currently being filmed and set for a summer 2027 release. Ryan Coogler of Creed and Black Panther fame will be rebooting The X-Files, set to air on Hulu when production wraps. The long-awaited Peacock series Crystal Lake finally has a premiere date of Thursday, October 15th, 2026. And that's it for Horror News. And Draven agrees. Draven the blood-vomiting bat. Children of the night, what messes they make. If you actually could become a vampire, I mean a real vampire like we see in the films, what would make it extremely difficult in modern times is all the tracking devices and DNA. It's not as easy just to assume a new identity anymore. You literally have to steal identities, so you'd have to kill that person. You might as well drink their blood, because why waste a good food source? And depending on who you choose, you probably have to off some of their family or all of their family and friends. You'd have to pick someone in their late 20s or early 30s once if you're going to assume their identity. And then you've got a good 50 to 60 years before worrying about it again. Before anything starts to appear strange on paper even, anyway. And look at Nosferatu. And I mean Nosferatu, the 1922 version. He's monstrous. Like, you couldn't be a vampire like that. He'd stick out like a sore thumb. I mean, he looks like the plague with two legs. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to pull it off looking like him. But just going on the thought, as I've said, when I was a kid, it was like the thought of living forever and all the, think of all the power and wealth you could accumulate, during, you're alive for 500 years.
And what if you suck on someone's neck that has some horrific disease? What if you sucked on someone's neck that had AIDS? Now what are you going to do? You probably should just go to a blood bank and get your blood.
Because, Karis, you're the immortal vampire now. You don't get disease. You don't catch colds. You don't die like regular humans die. It doesn't matter what they might have or what kind of disease a person has. I really don't think it affects the vampire that way.
Well, seeing vampirism isn't a real thing, you don't really know, do you? You're just guessing, and you're basing things on movies. But there is no such thing, so you don't really know.
Way cool. It's Chicago Tina.
Hey, Dark Mark and Karis, the little mummy, and all you kids out there in Monsterland. Just checking in to tell you I love the Burnt Offering show. I thought that you covered all of the bases. You could have showed more pictures of that chauffeur, though, especially with his teeth. When the smiles with the teeth, that's really scary. That image haunted me my entire life. I love Betty Davis. I love Oliver Reed. And I always watch that show around Halloween during, like the Halloween season. And yeah, I think it's a great idea that you do more deep dives into movies like that. Next time, try Suspiria. That's my favorite horror movie, and I'd love to know more about that movie, especially the art that's behind that movie, because it's got a really beautiful color scheme, and I think it's a beautiful movie, even though it's so gory and everything, and it is really scary. But also, you could do a deep dive into Jessica Harper, because she's one of my favorite actresses. That's kind of like offbeat, and just that in general. That would be really cool. Also, I believe Horror Chat Matt had a question about what our hobbies are. Well, I share the same hobby as you, Horror Chat Matt. I collect comic books. And every Wednesday, I go into Salem and I go to Harrison's or Silver Moon, and I pick up my comic books, and I go and I have a coffee, and I get a pastries from Lulu's, and I just I hang out, and I love comic books, and I'm more of a DC fan than Marvel, and I'm also more of a Dark Horse Vertigo fan than any superheroes that are in DC and Marvel. Also, I like to read, and music is my number one hobby, though. I love all music, any kind of genre. I just love music. And Mark knows that. And when he was growing up wanting to be Dracula, I wanted to be a rock star. And we should have started a band together, a vampire rock band. And then it stopped watching Cooley High so many times. That's a great movie. Not a horror movie, but a great movie anyway. But he knows what that means. And besides that, I'm going to end this by asking a question that I asked last week, and Mark didn't answer, so I'm going to ask again, and I'm going to ask every time I call until he answers me. Did you watch Shutter Island yet? And that's all. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Have a great week. Bye.
There's a movie about the horror streaming site Shudder?
No, Karis. It's Shudder with 2 T's, not 2 D's. And quite honestly, you regurgitated that joke about 2 episodes back. So please stop. Thank you, Chicago Tina. I'm glad you enjoyed All Things Burnt Offerings. These episodes that I do where everything is devoted to one film is truly a labor of love. It's twice the work that the regular ones are, but all the much more worthwhile when I know that it is enjoyed by people. And I thank you so much for that feedback. And Suspiria is a fantastic film, one of my all-time favorites by Dario Argento. And I, of course, am referring to the original 1977 version, not the remake, which I know a lot of people enjoyed. I myself did not. Horror Chat Matt, yes, he had mentioned, he asked people what they do for hobby, and you mentioned comics and being a bigger DC fan than Marvel. I myself too, because Superman was made by DC Comics. And as far as their horror comics, I loved both DC and Marvel horror comics. But you got to admit, The Witching Hour, Ghosts, and those horror comics that were from DC were so much better. Although I hate even saying that out loud, because I do love Werewolf by Night and Tomb of Dracula. I also love to read. I get caught up in too many books at once. I have like a couple books behind the book that I'm reading. And sometimes it just takes me so much longer to get through books. Of course, there are books that I just whip through that I can't put down. But they're not all like that. And yes, I know, I will have to get around to seeing Shutter Island. I'm sure it's good. Always wonderful hearing from you, Chicago Tina, and we hope to hear from you again real soon.
You are listening to Dark Mark's Macabre Cast, episode 157, Living La Vita, Vampire.
So, Horror Chat Matt mentioned a few episodes back that he had seen a film titled Dolly, a new Killer in the Woods film. Well, Dolly dropped on Shudder a couple weeks ago, and I finally sat down and gave it a look-see. Let me just start by saying this film proves that they can still make that kind of film if they want to. The gore is top-notch, but gore really hasn't been missing from horror. Just look at Terrifier franchise, or that Long Walk in the Woods film, and A Violent Nature. What I have been missing is style, and this movie has plenty of it. At most moments, you'd swear this tale was taking place between 1976 and 1981, but alas, Laura Horror pointed out, listen to the particular phrasing. People didn't talk that way back then. And she's right. Jack-O-Lantern pointed out the fact that they're using modern cell phones. This mix and blend of time eras is not new, but it works well with this demented story. And I mean demented. This would be like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Tourist Trap having a child. Many camera movements are very reminiscent of Chainsaw, not to mention the washed-out look of the film at times. So a couple that are on the verge of marriage, well, maybe, go for a hike in a secluded wooded area, and they stumble upon a very haunting-looking area with children's dolls, and I mean a lot of dolls, nailed or tied to trees. Because the protective male partner feels the need to investigate, he stumbles upon the female equivalent of Leatherface, wearing a pretty unnerving porcelain doll's head with a missing eye to boot. The male counterpart, whose name is Chase, is played by Sean William Scott, best known for his role as Stifler in the American Pie franchise. Scott plays this role so well I didn't recognize him. Anyway, his interaction goes bad with our backwoods psychopath and his fiancée, Macy, who, after Chase takes too long to get back to her, she goes looking for him and is kidnapped. She's held prisoner in what looks like a life-size dollhouse out in the middle of nowhere and is forced into this deranged world where this unbalanced person is mommy and Macy is the new baby. Some very unsettling scenes, and that's coming from me. But I will tell you, along with Lee Cronin's The Mummy, this too, so far, is my favorite for 2026. I give this 4.5 stars out of 5. Check it out.
Oh, check it out!
Is this something you could share with the rest of us, Amazing Larry?
Greetings, Dark Mark and Karis the Little Mummy. Scary Larry here. Let's get into some shenanigans. Hey Karis, have you seen Stevie Wonder's new shoes? Neither is he. Rehashing the previous topic, all things burnt offerings, I watched this one only a few years back at Dark's recommendation. First, I did enjoy it. However, I feel I'm in Horror Chat Matt's corner in that I think it would have had a bigger impact if I watched it when it first came out, like Mark did, versus present day. For haunted house movies, I'd give this one third place behind A Ghost Story and Poltergeist, two of my favorites. No hate, just my preference. Now, as a child, I dreamed of being the $6 million man. Even though as an adult, I realized the pain and trauma Steve Austin went through to become the Bionic Man, that was my wish. Moving on, I had a moment to sit and watch 2025's The Whistle. It's currently available with Shudder. Good movie. An ancient Mayan or Zuni relic used by unsuspecting students at a high school. It's a whistle that, when blown, summons death, notably your death. The twist is, when death comes for you, it takes you then by way of how your future you dies. If you die of old age, when death arrives, you rapidly deteriorate. Along those lines. A well put together movie. A bit predictable, but I think we're all just jaded in that respect. Won't divulge any more, but I do give this 3/4 out of 4 stars and is worth watching.
Either Scary Larry has a lot of Stevie Wonder jokes, or Scary Larry is retelling the same old jokes.
Look who's talking about telling the same old jokes. Yeah, burnt offerings, I guess, I don't know. Maybe it's not to most people what it was to me. Or maybe, again, as you've suggested, it was because I was 7. But it really stuck with me. $6 Million Man, I loved that show. I actually had a Power Records 33 long-playing record with a bunch of $6 Million Man stories on it that I used to listen to, but loved it. And my favorite, of course, was $6 Million Man, Bionic Man versus Bionic Bigfoot. I'd love to catch that again someday and rewatch that. And coincidentally, this movie, The Whistle, Jack-O-Lantern. Jack-O-Lantern has that whistle that he ordered through eBay, which I don't know how much now I want to see this movie because Knowing Wonder's in my house. Always great hearing from you, Scary Larry. Please keep seeing it so we don't have to.
And now it's time for a real world horror. And now here's your host, Dark Mark.
In November of 1996, Roderick Justin Ferrell led his cult, ideally labeled Vampire Clan, from Kentucky to Florida. Eustis, Florida to be exact. Heather Wendorf, the 15-year-old daughter of Richard and Naoma, implored the cult to come there and help her run away and join the clan. Roderick, the Vampire Clan's founder and leader, fancied himself a 500-year-old bloodsucker by the name of Vestigo. Roderick came from a very troubled environment in Kentucky, where he was raised alone by his mother. Her name was Sandra. Sandra introduced him to these occult practices of the Vampire Clan, where they met in local parks and cemeteries, participating in mock ceremonies that involved sharing blood. Roderick briefly lived in Florida and attended a high school there. That's where he met Heather Wendorf. Roderick arrived with the Vampire Clan, entered the Wendorf home with a crowbar. Richard and Naoma were bludgeoned to death. Heather and the clan fled to New Orleans. On November 28, 1996, a van the cult was traveling in was stopped in Baton Rouge, Louisiana by police. They were arrested, and in a taped statement to police, Roderick confessed, and DNA evidence linked him to the crime. Heather Wendorf, however, was not charged after a grand jury found insufficient evidence of her involvement in the murders. The clan symbol, a capital V, was burned into Richard Wendorf's chest. Roderick Ferrell was charged as an adult. He pled guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder. In February of 1998, the 17-year-old was sentenced to death by electrocution, making him the youngest person on death row at that time. His accomplices received lesser sentences. In the year 2000, the Supreme Court ruled that executing someone for crimes committed as a juvenile violated evolving standards of decency. Roderick's sentence was commuted to life in prison without parole. And whatever happened to Heather Wendorf, you ask? She's married and living her best life in North Carolina.
Tune in next time to Real World Horror with Dark Mark.
You are listening to Dark Mark's Macabre Cast, episode 157, Living La Vita, Vampire.
Hey, Doc.
Oh. Hi, Elijah.
So, what'd you end up doing for on Mother's Day?
Jack-O-Lantern and I took Laura Horror to Martha's Vineyard, and we visited a couple of Jaws sites. Not all of them. That might be on the return. It wasn't the best weather. We didn't have enough time in the day. But we did see the Jaws Bridge.
Oh, that's cool.
Grim Facts.
Good evening, Monster Kids and Dark Mark and Karis the Little Mummy. Grim Kim checking in with a movie review. Da-da-da. I did, basically my all-time favorite activity in the world yesterday, which was go to a horror movie with my son, my 24-year-old son, and we saw Hokum. My review of Hokum. Okay, by the director of Caveat and Oddity, and this definitely is from the same director. You can tell. Just the whole atmosphere of the movie was very reminiscent. And I would say how you basically felt about either Oddity or Caveat, you probably will feel similar about Hokum. It's like all three to me have this surrealistic, acid trippy, hallucinogenic quality to them. Am I in a dream state? Are they in a dream state? Are they dead? Are they in another world? Are they in an altered universe? Is this reality? Are they in an altered state of consciousness? And you know, it unravels as you go along. But I kind of have mixed feelings when all of a sudden something happens and I'm like, wait a minute. Is everybody dead? Or, you know, and I just have to stop overthinking things and just watch the movie, which is what I did. It was a very layered movie, like the others, and a couple of the thematic elements I wish they explored more. There is a witch in the movie, but, you know, I would have liked more backstory on that whole thing. There's definitely overtones of Stephen King's Room 1408 in this. You know, it's like it's a haunted house movie. It's a movie about personal demons. It's about interesting. It also kind of reminds me of American Horror Story, a hotel season, because, you know, the building itself just, to me, becomes symbolic for your inner psyche and being trapped by, you know, trapped in a labyrinth of your own making. Anyway, what I'm saying doesn't even make sense. Would I recommend the movie? Yeah, I'd recommend the movie. It had some good jump scares. But overall, I wouldn't necessarily classify it as like a truly scary movie. And the casting was excellent. Adam Scott is excellent, and he was perfectly cast for this role about this pretentious, depressed, stuck author, let's say, that goes to an inn in Ireland to, you know, try to solve his problems in his own way. And the movie does have redemptive qualities to it if you're looking through the lens of humanistic symbolism. And it was entertaining. You know, a couple of things was confusing, so I went back and I watched a review. One of my favorite reviewers is the YouTube channel called Spooky Astronauts. And this young lady, she is smart as a whip. I highly recommend her for reviews and critiques on horror, all things horror. But anyway, so I watched her 20-minute review, non-spoiler review, just so I could kind of get a feel. I've said before, sometimes I like to get a feel and see if what my eyes were showing me, was I right? Am I completely off track about this is what the director was trying to accomplish with this storyline? Because sometimes little old Kim does it might just go over my head, and I'm not too humble to say that. Her review really didn't clear up anything for me, and that's okay. And you know what? Maybe this is one of the few times that I wouldn't mind watching it again. Very few movies do I like to go back and revisit, but perhaps this one I will someday. Another thing I will be revisiting is, me and my son, we must have a psychic bond, because there was a movie last week I was thinking, such a good movie that I'm in for another watch of that movie. Well, doesn't he buy me the Criterion Collection version of Pan's Labyrinth? And I live with an 86-year-old woman that, of course, still has a Blu-ray DVD player. So it's perfect. And then my son was mentioning, maybe that's what he starts for me, is a little Criterion Collection. And I think that sounds wonderful. And it was just really, really just heartfelt gift. And it's just, we have this common bond, and it's just really heartwarming to me. Anyway, that's it. I'm very, very much looking forward to back rooms. And now there's another A2 movie that's out right now. And I just happened to see on the next clip of the YouTube thing I was watching is, why is no one talking about the movie Mother Mary? Why? I don't know why. And I've never heard of it. I mean, I haven't seen any reviews, excuse me, for that, considering I've been in these, folk horror movies lately. So I'm intrigued. Let me say that. I am intrigued. But anyway, that's it for this week. I'm sorry. I'm not going to go extra long-winded and answer the prompt, which I can't even think of right now in my little frazzled brain. But I hope you guys had, those of you that celebrate with someone, I hope you had a lovely, lovely Mother's Day. And I always see your heartfelt post, Mark, missing your mom, and you just post such nice pictures of her, and it's so bittersweet. It's just, the intensity of love and being loved is just, can compound the intensity of grief I find in it. What a mixed blessing that is. But anyway, thinking of you, and I'm hoping everyone is enjoying their spring, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
I didn't really gather enough about what Hokum sounds like it is about for me to even have my interest piqued, other than when you said haunted house. Now, Mother Mary, I know nothing about, but all I do know is about a pop star who reunites with her estranged costume designer, and it's a musical psychological drama thriller. I think I'm going to let you see that one first too, and fill in the blanks for me as to whether I see it. Now, you did mention Criteria collections, and that's a great idea. Your son is going to maybe start purchasing and putting together, little by little, a collection of Criteria collections. So, if that's the case, and he's listening, I know he didn't come on the show, but I know he could be listening, or you could pass the word. If you're going to get a Criterion collection, you need the silent film Vampire, Vampyr, the Criterion collection, the silent film Vampire. And we've discussed this film before. Scary Larry did a review. It's my favorite silent film of all time, and way before its time. A very German expressionist film, and it's fantastic. It's even better when you watch it the way I watch it, which with Black Sabbath playing throughout the film. And thank you for acknowledging my mom's post on Mother's Day. Yes, I do try to honor her in every way that I can. But it's even worse when scam artists hijack the post and try to get me to buy into Publishers Clearinghouse and stuff like that. But I had a message back for that person and told them very politely that there was a special room in hell reserved for them for hijacking a post when someone is honoring their dead mother. As always, so great to hear from you, Grim Kim, and we hope to hear from you again real soon. Take care.
Due to unforeseen circumstances, Metal Cuss Bucket Melody will not be appearing on this episode.
Instead of Cobweb Classics this week, seeing I've talked so much about vampires, I decided to give out a list of lesser known to some vampire films to check out. 1970s Hammer film Taste the Blood of Dracula. 1971's Countess Dracula. Also from 1971, Daughters of Darkness, which the first time out when I saw it, I wasn't a huge fan. Now I love it. It's one of my favorites, and I own it on Blu-ray. 1972's Blackula. Trust me, great film.
Horror chap Matt knows all about monsters. He said they were coming to get me tonight.
Hey, Doc Mark, Little Cars, and all the Monster Kids hang out at the theater this week. It's Horror Chat Matt checking in. So, Doc, you had two questions or topics this week, and I'm going to touch on them both very quickly. Number one, as far as the deep dive episodes on just one particular movie, I do enjoy them. However, I think for your sanity and the amount of time and effort that you put into these things, you'd probably be better off spacing them out a little bit more. So you did one at 150 and then you turned around and did another one at 155. I would probably do it maybe every 10, 15, or even 20 episodes. Unless, of course, you're going to do a deep dive on the entire Friday the 13th franchise, movie by movie. Then I think you should do it every single week. As far as your other question about would you want to live forever as a vampire? I think I would, but at the same time, I would definitely have to turn my family. And if they weren't into that idea, I'm not sure I would go through with it. Also, I feel in 2026, while some things would be a lot easier in terms of like paying bills online and stuff like that and buying stuff online, establishing your identity would be a lot more difficult, I feel like, unless I just don't know the right people that could get me like a new social security number every, 75 years or so. When I'm supposed to have passed away and starting a new life and starting over. So I'm going to lean towards a slight yes on that one. But probably gotta stick with the yes. Why not? And then super quick, I did have two quick little reviews. Number one is I did take in They're Trying to Kill You. I thought it was okay, entertaining, fun movie. I think it's about a little over 90 minutes. If you liked Ready or Not, this is almost entirely similar to that, which is kind of ironic because they both came out within a week of each other. Ready or Not 2, I'm talking about, in the theaters. This one did not do very well at the box office. This is like John Wick meets Ready or Not. Some pretty cool fight scenes, and the violence was over the top. Of course, a common complaint I always have these days, a lot of CGI, and that kind of took me out of the story a little bit. But overall, if you got 90 minutes and you're looking for something to watch, you could do worse than this movie. I'll give it a 6 out of 10, I guess. Now make that a 5.5. Too much CGI. And my other recommendation is if you have Apple TV, or if you know how to sail the seven seas on a pirate ship, then I can't recommend Widow's Bay enough on Apple TV. We watched the first 3 episodes. It's a spooky town. It's filmed all around Massachusetts locally. We've recognized several things in Gloucester and in Groton. They go to Stagefoot Park in Gloucester, and an ice cream spot that we like to go to in Groton. And the story is about a mayor who's trying to bring his little island community turn it into a tourist destination. And some of the locals aren't so crazy about it, and there's a lot of superstition and ghosts and stuff on this island. And it's just a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. We watched the first 3 episodes, and we normally don't do this, and immediately want to watch the 4th episode, and we're bummed to find out that Apple TV is not like some of the other streaming services where they put all the episodes on at once. So we had to wait a week to watch episode 4. But yeah, very dry humor though. But it's pretty funny stuff. And like I said, I think all the Monster Kids would enjoy this one. As always, Dark, make mine Macabre cast. And see, this week I didn't hang up on myself.
Well, Matt, I'm glad that you enjoy the All Things episodes where everything is devoted to one film. And that's probably a good suggestion, to just space it out even more, because it is a labor of love, but I like to know that at least you enjoy it. I do have Apple TV. I don't think I've ever watched it. It comes with part of a streaming package that I have, so I'll have to figure that one out. And, you know, almost what I gather from your decision on being a vampire, I know you said you'd have to make your family and it would have to be okay with them. Isn't it the same as asking the wife if it's okay? Asking for a friend.
No, you're asking for me. Just tell them it's me. I want to know.
Always great to hear from you, Horror Chat Matt. We look forward to hearing from you again next week.
Goditi questo episodio de Cast Macabro.
Thank you, Maria Monstalia, for telling our Italian friends to enjoy this episode of Macabre Cast.
Shh, come on now, everybody pipe down. It's time for the final thought. You know, when a guy who watches monster movies is all of a sudden going to talk like some kind of philosopher.
Life is a long road. For me, it could never be long enough. I'm blessed that mine has been as lengthy as it has been. It is but a one-way street in which there's no way to go backward, only forward. The only way to continue forward is with perseverance and resilience. I hold on to my faith that at the end of the road will be the loved ones that got there before me. I'll end this with a lyric from a song. It says it better than I. One sunny morning will rise, I know, and I'll meet you further on up the road. Hope is a good thing, Monster Kids. Beware the moon. Keep clear of the moors. But most of all, remember, be good to yourself. This is Dark Mark, signing off. See you soon, I hope. This is a Macabre Theater production. Subscribe us.